Hi. I wasn't expecting to make a video today. But here I am. A little glossy. Probably going to go back into the land of tangents. For those of you who want to turn this off right now, yes, there's probably going to be some tangents here. I had a thought of what I was going to talk about, but of course, the second I turn on the camera, poof. So we have a Lego dinner the second Friday of every month for at least the last 25 years in Toronto. It started with RTL Toronto. Well, back in the day, RTL 2 or 3, whatever robot competition we were doing in RTL 2 or 3. I didn't do my first robot competition until RTL 3. 1 and 2 I missed. It was at St. Michael's Theater, or whatever it's called, at the school in Toronto. I couldn't even tell you where it is. But at the time, our friend was working there, and we got to use the facilities for free. And so that's when I stumbled across. So what happened, to back this up, 1998, I bought the RCX, the RIS Invention Kit, 9709, maybe, I can't remember the name, the number. But there's always an RCX within reach of any given time, just because I do. Anyway, so what happened is that in 1998, I bought the RCX, and it says, hey, go online to find out more stuff about the RCX. So I did, and I stumbled across LugNet, but this is precursor to that LugNet discussion, which I've talked about numerous times. Honestly, it's my most favorite time of the internet for me in my entire life with the internet. Of course, my entire life with the internet started in 1995, 1994, when I was programming HTML 1.0. But anyway, but I found out that there was a competition at Guelph University, because a couple people were going to Guelph that were interested in the RCX, and they were having a competition during March break, and I wasn't going to Guelph. Obviously, I was like 30 something. But I heard about this, and I sent him an email. Hey, can anybody show up? Absolutely. The organizer's name was Victor, who was actually a friend of my friend Callum, who became my friend because I didn't know Callum at the time. So Victor was running this robot competition. It was sumo robot with the RCX, which means basically you put your two robots in a circle, and whichever robot pushes the other robot out wins the game. And so that was the stipulation. The robot had to be within 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. The size of it had to use an RCX, and had to be completely autonomous, which means the RCX had to do all the work. You can't RC it or control it. This is way back when. So I worked furiously with programming and building a robot. And I think there are some pictures somewhere, maybe even on my Flickr channel. I may have had I did have my Kodak DC-120, so I'm sure I took pictures. But anyway, I built a 1 foot by 1 foot robot by 1 foot high. And basically the robot itself was the first 3 or 4 layers of brick using Technic beams and whatever. And the rest of it was just piled on basic brick to make this thing as heavy as possible. So I show up, boom, board cube on the mat. And then this is when I went to Guelph University with my friends, my entourage, as they say. I met Victor, and then I also met 2 people named Chris and Callum, who at the time were running Rec Toys Lego RTL Toronto robot competitions in Toronto. And they came along because they knew Victor, and so I found out about these guys, and I got to talk to them at this robot competition in Guelph University, and I found out that they do robot competitions very so often, and they use LugNet to talk to other Lego fans in Toronto. Well, that was boom. I found LugNet, and that was the end of that. Fantastic. And so I started going out to Toronto. And then we started doing the robot RTL 3, which is the third robot competition they're having. It was ball sorting, so you have little marbles on the thing, and the marbles were either white or black, and your robot had to collect the white ones. Basically, this is an 8 foot by 8 foot arena, And in one corner there's a black square, and the opposite corner is a white square. And whatever square your robot starts on is the color of marble that you have to collect. And then, being devious sorts that we are, you could also build a robot that would deny your opponent's color of marble from that. So your robot would either collect the marble, and you couldn't have at the end. So at the end of it, by the way, to make the competition slightly more difficult, it's like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it is. At the end of it, your robot had to park back on its original square. Any marbles have to be over top of the square. So you collect the marbles of your color, and you have to make sure those marbles are back on the square at the end of it. So either your robot go out and find marbles and just drop them in the square and then go out and find some more and drop them in the square, or your robot would have a container to hold all the marbles in that at the end and go find the square and park there. Either way, the marbles had to be in the color of the square, and if you had marbles of the opposite color, that was a minus. So plus for all the same colors and -1 for all the bad colors, and so you would be devious, and you would either have a robot that would collect all the marbles and keep yours, and then dump the other ones where the other robot couldn't get it, or like some people were doing was build some sort of mechanism to shoot the opposite color marbles outside the arena. So like a cannon. It is a time that'll never ever, literally never ever happen again. But it was so much fun because not a care in the world, and you show up with whatever robot that would do whatever, and it could be the most absurdly stupid, non-functioning robot in the world, and we didn't care. We just loved it. It was just fun, and then we would always find ways of working around the rules, which is where the term Callum ball comes in, but we won't talk about that right now. Find ways of working within the specific rules, but making something that nobody thought of. There's a quick story about that, but so that's RTL3. It was marble sorting, and I think there was sumo as well. So again, sumo again, because sumo is the easiest robot to build in any kind of RCX competition back in the day. And so that happened there. And then the RTL4 is when we started with the block stacking, RTL405, the block stacking. And that was fun. That was that's when I excelled. And I loved the block stacking. You make a 4x4x4, 4 studs by 4 studs by, 10, 12, whatever, 3, 6, 9, 10. I think, whatever, blast, plates high, blocks. And your robot had to go collect the blocks and stack them. And whoever had the biggest stack, the tallest stack, wins the competition. You could have multiple stacks. But again, it was some sort of rule that like a stack of 2 is 2 points, a stack of 3 is 4 points. It's like Fibonacci sequence, whatever. Whatever. We when we use terms like Fibonacci sequence for our scoring, it was just the best. It was like this is the kind of minutiae that we got into on LugNet, which is why if you go back in the early 2000s and you look at RTL Toronto, it had the most prolific number of posts every given month, because we would just get right down into the nitty gritty, the minutiae of every single robot competition we had. And people, what about this? What about that? And Callum was just busy pulling out his hair, like literally all the time. Just show up with a robot. But anyway, and so that's what got me really hardcore back into Lego, where I was doing things publicly. And it was absolutely a fantastic time. And it was a time that will never, I guarantee, will never ever happen again. because it was I want to use the word carefree. It was just a group of friends just bugging the crap out of one another most days, and just having a great time with it. But all that would not have happened, and this is where this tangent was going this entire time. The internet would have happened. But my interest in Lego was probably always going to be. It's hard for me to take a step back and have a critical view of my time with this hobby, because I've lived it. I'm ensconced in it. I'm like right in the middle. But why I never had a dark ages, why I've always loved passionately, even like most kids, most people, as we all know, start 12, 14 years old. They just, it's a kid's toy, and I'm going to go out and fix up cars and whatever. I never had that. I mean, fixing up cars I've helped with, right? But I never had to, I'm going to give up Lego now. I never thought of it as I got older, I never thought of it as a kid's toy. I always wanted to go on further. And I think one of the basic reasons, and I'm not saying this is the definitive reason, but one of the basic reasons why I never really considered Lego to be a kid's toy, especially after the age of 10 for me. 10 years old for me was 1977. It was absolutely a definitive year. Like, people can say there's been some defining moments in the history of the Lego company. So this is the Lego company in general. The invention of the minifig, absolutely huge step. Bionicle, huge step. IPs with Star Wars, huge things. For me, in my personal life, the definitive moment that I think is not the specific only reason why I never gave up on Lego, because I think you look at my classic space collection, which didn't happen for another year after that. But 1977, we were camping, and I mentioned this story, so you probably heard this story before, but we were camping. Every time we go camping in the summer, we did lots of camping almost every long weekend. Mom would buy us comic books. And it wasn't like Judge Dredd and like the Punisher or whatever, because Mom wasn't like that, and I wasn't into those kind of comic books at the time. And it wasn't Archie. We didn't get too many Archie comic books when we were kids. We got the Archie Digest as we got older, but it was like Wendy the Little Witch and Casper and this the cute little Richie Rich, the cute little comics that we would get for the trip up to Tobermory or wherever we were going. We have comic books, and she would buy a bunch for Sandy, Terry, me, and my brother, and we would read comic books, and we'd have these comic books. And I definitively remember to this day, it's a vivid memory that we got one comic book, and at the back of every comic book ever, you go the second last page or the last page, you would have that mail in for all these little things, and the X-way grasses and the seahorses and whatever else, that stupid stuff back in the 70s that you'd have to save coupons for, or mail off. $2.95. That seemed to be the number for like literally everything back. $2. This is 1977. $2.98 for X for them to mail you. But on the very back sheet of one of the comic books, and I remember just laying on the carpet at the cottage we were staying at, I think it was up in Parry Sound, for the entire weekend, I was just gawking at it, was the Lego's newest theme called Expert Builder. We call it Technic now, but it was Expert Builder. It's the first time I've ever even seen it. Now, we already had an extensive Lego collection, but it was all basic brick. It was all the little firehouse, the white and black firehouse. It was all the even set numbers 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't know why that sticks in my head that we never got 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, but we got 2, 4, 6, 8. The big sets with the big 10 by 20 green plate spates and the little tower, the little trees, the green trees. Some came with cypress trees, blah, blah. But at the back of this comic, and I can't remember which, it could have been Richie Rich, could have been whatever, was the newest line that Lego was bringing out, the Expert Builder series, and it had mostly the 853, the big car chassis. It did have the little go-kart, which became very, very prominent in my life afterwards, as we all know, because I've talked about it numerous times, and I happen to have, I'm not going to bring it down, but you see my stuff, it shows. The 854 is very important to me, but the 853 was predominantly featured in the ad on the back of the comic book. And it's such an ensconced memory for me. But the odd thing, and this is where this is going, is not just for me, it's for my generation who still are Lego fans. If you are my age, and you remember being around 10 years old when they invented the Technic line or the Expert Builder line, you will remember this. And I was actually sitting at dinner, which is why I brought that previous tangent up. There every second Friday of every month for 25 years. My friend Derek and I are sitting there, and I said to Derek, "Oh, by the way, you'll appreciate this." I was going through Marketplace, which I always do, still to this day, and I showed him the actual ad. And he said, "Ooh, the box." And I go, "Yes, the box." And again, I'm going to go off on a really quick tangent to go off on, but this is an important tangent. I've mentioned numerous times in this channel that I cannot, it's not within me to care about boxes. I am not an AFOLB. I'm not an adult fan of Lego boxes. I'm an adult fan of Lego. The boxes are I won't say 100% irrelevant, but they are mostly irrelevant. When I finish building a set or getting new sets, the box goes in the scrap heap. And I mentioned before that years and years ago, I did keep all the boxes that I had when I was a kid, especially all the classic space boxes that I got for Christmas. And I would compress them, take out the little plastic sleeve in the middle, and in my closet I had a 3 or 4 foot high pile of folded boxes and the little plastic inserts, the 6971, like even when the logo of the classic space logo is built into the the insert, which I loved. I kept them all until I hit about 16 or 17, and Mom and I were cleaning up my room one time, and she goes, "Do you want to keep these boxes?" And I go, but I'm still playing with Lego. And but it wasn't a tough decision. It was like, no, I don't. And I remember taking him to the transfer station, and then boom, all of them. The Megacore magnetizer, like all the boxes that I had up until then, the 6990 to the scrap heap. Might have been after that because that was 1987, so I might have been 20. I was living with my mom, so it's like all went to the scrap heap. And I said there was a slight twinge, like maybe I should not. It's gone. I don't need the boxes. But the boxes, and so just like, I'm going to say this and not to offend people, just like French conjugation, there are always exceptions. There are specific boxes from my childhood that I wanted. And as you can see, when I do my display of the 854 go-kart, I have 2 boxes for the 854. I got the Canadian version and the 948 US version, and they're there. Now, I do have to replace the American version because the box is beautiful. I got it on eBay years ago, and it was a piece of crap box, but it's the only one I have. But I got the 854 to 948 of the go-kart. But it's the 853 box itself that has been since 10 years old. I wanted that, and I showed Eric the actual ad in the marketplace. And the first thing he says is the box. I always wanted that box. And it's like, I've talked to other people over the years. The 853 box, I won't say it's coveted and like, oh, whatever, but it's just one of those things that sticks with you. And so, this is where this whole thing's going. As a long tangent. Yes, I got it. Now, I will be the first to say it's not in the best condition. I've seen worse boxes. Like my friend wanted the 6985, the Galaxy, not the Galaxy Commander, the Cosmic Fleet Voyager. Yeah, whatever, the 6985. And it had like packing tape all over it. He said, I want it. Okay, fine. I brought it to Bricks and 6 or Bricks and 6. There you go. Keep the box free. I don't want it. But this box, now it has the other part. It has all the pieces inside. Yes, it has all the pieces inside. But the back has come off. So it's a little worn, but it's the box. I got it because of the box. I didn't like, it might, because I've shown you, I have 2 of these built right now. It's like the 853. I have them built right now. Now, and again, he said all the pieces are here. I maybe they are, maybe they aren't. It looks like they have to be washed. They're very, very dusty. But I was so happy to see this box. I guess it's those little, and again, this is like my drooling and my eyes are watering. No, but this, since I was 10, I wanted this box. I wanted this set. Now, I had this set many times. I could have built this set many times over my life. I didn't start really building it until 3 or 4 years ago when I was reconstructing. I don't know, 3 or 4. But you can go back in my videos and I reconstructed all the 850s or 851s through the 857. I did a whole theme of that, all the original Expert Builder Technisets. And this is like building toy technical set. This is Expert Builder. I don't know if it says Experts. Usually it used to say Expert Builder on it. I don't think it says Expert Builder on this. It does not say Expert Builder on this. But anyway, c'est la vie. But it's 853. I just got it because of the box. Now, again, I also have the instructions. And again, these instructions were awesome, by the way. So that's the box that was in the back of the comic. That's a picture of the box in the back of the comic, as well as the actual card. And of course, this is the one I got for Christmas that year. So, but I did like a review of all these guys, and the motorcycle that came out afterwards. I got this set a year after for my parents, and then I did not. I got the motor set, but I don't think it was this one. After that, but like I used to just fun stuff in the old original Technic and how to do things, and come if you buy all the different, like this is what you could do with a go-kart, is make a whole body around it. Like, really? What's this? I just love this kind of stuff. But this is I wanted this for the longest time, and it's like, do I jump on it now? Like, do I really want a box? Because now I got a box. So it's like, do I want to keep this box? Of course I'm going to keep this box. I'm going to bring this to shows with my go-kart collection. And he also threw spare pieces, which is really nice. A lot of Technic beams and some regular pieces. And again, it's all old. So you can see the walls in here. They're all older Lego. And they're a little faded, which is completely expected and not a surprise at all. They're pretty dusty, but I've seen worse. But I don't see any teeth marks. So I think a wash and this thing's gonna be gleaming. So all in all, to me, this was worth it. Like, this is the whole point of collecting. And to talk about that for a sec, I was watching this TikTok the other day. And I can't remember what the girl was collecting, but it was childish, if you want to call it that, childish. And she was posting her little collection of whatever. I'm going to say, I don't know, little dolls or something. And she's our age, my age, maybe a little younger. And she's talking about, I happened to find this at a, garage sale or whatever, thrift market or whatever. And I had to get it and blah, blah. And she talked about, just like I did for the last 20, but this thing. And somebody had replied to her, why are you so intensely collecting toys? Those are kids' toys. Like, why do you as an adult care about that? Why are you wasting your time with that? Basically, it's like the gatekeeping that I've talked about numerous times, but this is a bit of a tangent on that. I'm not going to go down that rant. Hey, you kids, get off my grass. But I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you wasting your time with that? And then this is what I loved about this person. Again, I don't know how it came to my feed, but she goes and looks at that person's feed, and this person collects purses, like lots and lots of purses that cost thousands of dollars each. Like, who are you to ridicule my hobby that is harming literally nobody? and you're saying, oh, why? How can you justify paying that much money for this doll or whatever? And that's a stupid thing for you to be wasting your time on, basically. And so she replied to this person with another TikTok saying, I just went through your feed, lady. Like 80% of your TikTok feed is the latest purse you acquired from somewhere in the world that cost you thousands of dollars. Like, we all have our separate interests. This one's mine. Like, this one is absolutely my interest. This is one of the very few things that I didn't have in my collection here that I wanted in my collection here. and I mentioned this before, so this is I'm going to put that tangent about the girl and the thing aside. Basically, to sum up, this is harming nobody. I'm happy I got this box. I'm going to tell you how much I paid for it, but it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was outrageous, or else I would have bought it. I would have waited, because that's what I do now. I honestly wait now. So this wasn't an outrageously stupid cost. I think if I went on Bricklink right now, I could probably sell this box as it is, just the box, for more money than I paid for all of the pieces inside. And these pieces, like, I could probably get that just by having this box. And the box is, 50%. It's not close to 100%, but it's not like it's fixable. But you can just see it's like it's worn on the edges, right? And it, of course, it's detached, but it's not ripped detached. It's just detached. The glue came undone, and it's missing the plastic overlay, which I remember on all the Technic sets I had a plastic overlay. But in the end, I could probably, I don't have my phone on me because it's recording right there. I could probably go find The average price for the box right now is probably what I paid for the entire collection. So I'm not worried about that. But I did love and I did appreciate that video came into my feed where she's saying exactly the same thing I'm saying. Like, leave me alone. Like, if you don't, and here's the other thing that's you already get. If I'm posting this video, which I'm going to do, and she's posting this TikTok, which she's going to do about her dolls or whatever she's collecting, and you don't like that, you think, why are you wasting your time? Move along. If you're here and you're saying, oh, that Dave guy's going on far too many tangents and I can't stand listening to him because he goes off on all these tangents and why is he wasting my time? I didn't ask you to be here. Straight up. I said this repeatedly. I'm walking in this direction. And my friend's going to tell me, Dave, you forgot to bring your drink down. And I did. So thank you, because I have friends here that watch my videos and say, hey, Dave, you didn't have your drink. And then my voice is getting hoarse. I'm walking in this direction because I want to. I want to walk. This is over here. I'm walking that way. Right? I'm walking in that direction because I want to. I'm happy. It makes me, for whatever reason, you can go, there's a million reasons. Look at the people I know. Look at the people watching this video that I completely really love and want to talk to and hang out with. I'm walking in this direction because I want to, and I want you guys to come along. But if you don't want to come along with this, if you don't think this is worthy of your time or your efforts or your whatever, then go walk somewhere else. And it's no sweat of mine if you walk somewhere else. It never has been. Like, if there was one person watching this or 1,000 people watching this, I'm still going to make this. It doesn't matter to me. The fact that I want people to be here that want to be here makes me happier. So if you want to be here, please stick around. And sorry, I haven't posted too much in a while, but I've been, busy. But I did see this and I went and got it. And there was another tangent. I completely forgot about this after the girls thing. Oh, crap. It was a really important one too. Son of a pup. It's amazing how that happened, because I was going to go off on this other tangent. I forget what we were talking about, because we're talking about the girl and their hobby and blah, blah, and it's not coming back to me at all. So I'll figure it out later that I was going to talk about something else terribly important for me and talk about that. But anyway, so I got the box. I'm going to keep the box. Unless somebody offers me lots of money for it. I'm going to keep the box. And here's the bottom, just so you know. I don't want to drop all the pieces of it. This is when they used to have the alternate builds on the back of boxes, which is the best ever. It was a time, and again, I'm not going to fault the Lego company for changing their ways. They reinvented themselves, but still keeping the core, because the pieces they invented now will still work with the pieces back then. Which I think is also one of my lasting appreciations of this hobby specifically. Yeah, 27 minutes there. I will remember what I wanted to talk about in a second, and probably after I stop this video. All those tangents related. See, look at that. Everything came together in the end. Everything's wrapped up. I'm going to call this a day. I'm going to probably not build this, because again, I already have 2 built. I don't need 3 built. The 2 that are built are in Ziplocs right now, waiting for a show. Yeah, just a reminder, I'm going to be at a show this weekend at the International Center on Dixon Road in Toronto, right across the street from the airport. Hall 1, it's Kids Fest. And 10 till 6 Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The space layout is going to be there. I'm going to possibly not worry about the RCXing of the space layout. I'm probably just going to use the train controllers and just let it run. Just because I don't know how well the copper tape is holding up. I'm not going to modify back the battery, but I'm not going to worry about getting the sensors to stop at every station. I do plan on making a video, and I may go for a live, and I keep on saying I'm going to go for a live at a show. I just never get around to it, but I might go for a live, but we shall see. Again, things are fluid, and that's why I like my life that way. I use this is the tangent upon tangents. This is the Gandalf line. Expect to see me when you see me. Yes, like my life is so variable. Um, it's not hard for me to commit to anything. It really isn't hard for me to commit to anything, and I 99% of the time follow through. But what is difficult is making plans, specific, concrete plans, and because my life is variable, it always has been. I'm used to it, and I'm happy with my lifestyle. But I've also said to my friends, if you need me, you can count on me. I will be there. But it's like planning out things like to the ridiculous degree. It's not ever been for me. It never will be for me, because I like being fluid. I do like that. But I will be at the International Center, or at least the layout will be at the International Center Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from 10 till 6 every day. I'm working out the details now because I don't want to go on Friday night, which is their setup time, because I am commuting. I mentioned in the other video, I will be commuting. We're not staying in Toronto. Forget the price though. That's not the price. It's just it saved the money, I guess, and doing the commute just like I used to do all the time when we used to do these shows. Before I met Sandy, so here's a tangent on a tangent. Before I met Sandy, I would commute to the shows all the time from where I live right now. When we did the Toy Train and Dolls show, when we did the Christmas Train show, when we did the hobby shows, I'd commute every day. And those things would run to 9 or 11 o'clock at night sometimes. This one's over at 6. So I got all the time in the world to get home. So I'm actually, because it was from 10 till 6, that was a defining reason why I didn't want to book a hotel room and stay in Toronto for the weekend. The other shows that go to 9 or 11, I'm usually exhausted. I will be exhausted. And driving home for like 45 minutes from the airport to home, because there's no traffic, which is fantastic. During the day, it's a rush hour and whatever, you're not getting from Toronto to here in 45 minutes, but at nighttime on a weekend it should be pretty easy. So I think to save myself money, to buy more stuff that I want to buy. The other thing I wanted to talk about, not the thing I can't remember, but the other thing I want to talk about is I do have another lot that I might be getting that is not nearly this meaningful to my entire Lego life. This one is actually quite meaningful because this is my 10-year-old realized cut the box. Again, it's not great, but it's fine. I have another lot that's coming in that's of comparable age to actually older than this. And those are the lots I'm looking for. So for me, when I look for lots these days, it's for the specific ones. Is, oh, there's a whole bunch of brick, really cool looking brick. I don't let that go by. But if it's got some really specific bricks from the era that I mostly have here, even though I already have some of the pieces, I buy a lot. And because I have been surprised by lots before. To go off on this quick thing, probably not going to be quick. I had a line on, it was another lot, and it had Lego bins, the Lego square containers from the 80s and 90s, the bins, the buckets, Pink Nation bucket, but these weren't pink, they're old red ones, and he had pieces in there. He had 4 buckets, and he was charging various prices for each bucket, and I'm going, I'll take the whole thing for $100. But then I realized he's out in Pickering. I'm not driving to Pickering. I am not. I would have to be an absolutely exceptional deal and exceptional pieces for me to go to Pickering. I love Pickering. I've been there many times, but that's a heck of a commute for me to go pick up 4 Lego containers for $100. I think because each box was different, I think if I told him I had, he wanted 150 and 170 for all of them, each one, if you told him, and I said, that's not worth it for me. And then I realized Pickering, no, I'm not driving out there at all, sorry. But it had a C-size battery box, the C batteries, the gray one that, I mean, I have 20 of them right there. But I'm going, if that's in there in the lot, there's going to be other cool things in the lot, because that's what I see. Well, if I see a C-size battery box, the round one, I'm going, there's probably other really cool things in there, right? Because that's what I would assume. And there were some other things that I looked in there that looked cool, but I didn't see too much Technic. But I did see that battery box, and going, there's got to be other stuff in there. And this goes right back to the time when I found the SEQ, which is again right over there somewhere. Yeah, buried. I can't get at it right now. But I just saw the old gray 4.5 volt wires, and it was a bunch of them. And I'm going, well, that's interesting, because usually, I mean, this is like 10 whatever years ago, usually you do not stumble across excuse me, a marketplace lot that has not one, not two, but dozens of 4.5 volt gray wire with the gray ends on it. Like, what is this lot? Going, like that now my curiosity is piqued, is piqued, but picked, because you will never, if he's got a bundle of 4.5 wire, what else is in the lot? And then that's when I started looking at all the pictures, and I found this thing called SEQ, which is the predecessor, the grandfather of the RCX, invented by the guy. He wasn't working for Lego at the time, but invented by the guy who went on to work on the RCX. so one of my most, like, much more comparable than this thing is, I knew what this was. I absolutely knew what this was, and it was like, oh, it's nice because it's nice to have, but it wasn't a huge surprise. Hey, there it is. I'm going to buy it. Boom. Like, no surprises at all. Him throwing the bag in, nice. That was a bit of a surprise. But getting this box, no surprises. Right? I know what it is. I've seen it before. But the SEQ lot will honestly go down in my used lot buying history as the most, and I mentioned this back then, but I haven't talked about it in a while. My whole life, and I don't want to go off in too many tangents. We're already 36 minutes into this, but I'll keep on going. My whole life, there have been moments in my life where I see something. We'll just say, use the euphemism, see something from a distance, and I think, that looks terribly complicated, looks really, really interesting. I'm going to be so honestly overjoyed when I get over there to see what that is. And you get over there and it's like a nothing burger, or maybe something, but it's not you think, you expect, I won't say miracle, but the angel singing, la, and it's like, eh. It's not wah wah, although that's happened a few times. Again, they use a lot that it's got wah wah, but but there have been very, very, very few times in my life where I doing whatever I'm doing, and I think I see something in the distance, and that's metaphorical now. I see something in the distance that looks like it could be absolutely extraordinarily awesome for me, and I walk over there, and it is. It's very, very few that times. Sandy walked in immediately and was not, 20 years later, still not. I'm still riding on that crest of, this is the most awesome experience of my entire life. Not even close to anything else. But that's the exception too, because she's exceptional. Don't tell her I said that. It goes her head. So I when I think about this story, I think about when I was a little kid. My dad had a wood pile out back, and in the wood pile he had 2 rows of cut logs from trees or whatever else, one in a space, and then another row, and this in the backyard. Basically ran the length of the backyard a little bit, and in the middle between those 2 rows, all the scrap wood, because my dad was a construction guy, my uncle was a framer, and he lived right next door, and we're always playing with 2x4s and skill saws and whatever. So in the middle of the wood pile was just piles and piles and piles of just scrap, 2x4s, 2x6s, whatever, and little tiny pieces. Like when you're building a roof, you have to cut out the little triangles so you can make the trusses, because back then you couldn't order trusses, you had to build them from scratch. This was my uncle. So he would bring home just wheelbarrowfuls of these little tiny triangles, and they'd all be the same. And so my sister and I, and this is again memories, my sister and I would go out back, but we had a sidewalk going from the house back to the wood pile, out to a little shed out back. And so we would sit out there on a Saturday afternoon, and we would reach into the middle of the wood pile and grab all these little triangles of wood, of 2x4s and 2x6s, and we would build these fantastically Wizard of Oz castles kind of things, and this just stacking like Jenga, but not Jenga, and make these fantastically looking awesome things, and the structures of spires and blah blah blah. We have a great time with it. And again, youthful memory, but anyway, we would do this, my sister and I. And then one time we were doing this, and Sarah and I looked at each other and we said, we should nail this stuff together so we can keep it, because this is a gorgeous looking castle. Absolutely gorgeous looking castle, whatever we were building. Majestic and spirally and whatever, like, fantastically awesome. And I said, perfect. I'm like 8 or 9, right? So I go grab a hammer and I go grab some nails. So they go, this. So we tried. We took each piece off and we hammered the pieces together with little finishing nails, and it took us a couple days actually to finish the whole thing. And then we finished it, and then we're both looking at it, and somehow in the process of moving it from just ad hoc putting pieces together and all loose to building this structure with nails and stuff, it lost its charm. It lost its fantasticness. It wasn't nearly as good looking. It was just a couple days later. And again, so we didn't capture the essence of what we thought was fantastic. And we both said the same thing. It did not have the essence of the fantastically awesome angel singing that the original one had, right? And so that stuck, again, stories stick with me my entire life. That stuck with me my entire life. And that was just like, when I see something from a distance, and again, metaphorically or physically, and I go over there and it's like, okay, it's okay, but whatever. And I can't think of any other example besides, specific things that happened in my life. But there was a old building next door to my Uncle George's farm on 50 Road. Uncle George had a farm on 50 Road. And there was this old block building that was probably built in 1904. And it was abandoned, and you just build up in your mind how wonderful it would be to go look at that and investigate it, because there could be hidden treasure or secret doors or whatever. And so you build this up in your head right, for years, and then you go inside after you're 13 or 14. Let's go inside. Let's walk over there, and it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So the charm is now gone. The essence of your imagination is now gone. The whatever it is now gone. And it's like, oh, it's just 4 walls and a floor, a dirt floor. And it was like that for ages when we were a little kid thinking about it. And so you go into a cave and it's like, oh, this could be great. And it's like, oh, it's a cave. nothing exciting. I will say the times that in my life where the expectation came to fruition as much as you wanted to is me scuba diving. Like, again, scuba diving is just a passion anyway, not lately in the past couple of years, but overall my whole life of just hopping in the water and puddle jumping, just Lake Ontario for no reason whatsoever, just hop in the water with a tank in your back and go harass fish. I will say the expectations were, I'm going to put a tank in my back, so that's already fulfilled by me going in the water. But you stumble across literally anything. Like, oh, there's a piece of rusted steel. Woo! Expectation is exceeded now. And yet, normally, when you go scuba diving, it's not just a piece of rusted steel. It's a fishing rod. Hey, I found a fishing rod. You're excited. Like, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about here. Or you find a boat anchor. Fantastic. I found a boat motor, which we're not going to talk about. My best by far. Knocked it out of the park. And this is the I can't remember the exact quote that they used. The heights of ecstasy to the depths of despair in one story. It's finding that boat motor. But anyway, I can't dwell on the past, which is what I do. Dwelling on the past. I never dwell on the past. But anyway. So I stumbled across that Facebook Marketplace thing, and it's a bundle of 4.5 volt wire, the gray wire, which I have up there now. And I'm going, my expectation, not my expectation, are the angels going to sing by the time I investigate this whole thing, or is it going to wah wah? I don't know which way it's going to go. And then the SEQ, what the heck is that? Right? And he just had a few pictures. And then all the boxes of like at least 15 or 20 C-size battery boxes. I'm going, wow, that's worth the trip of admission, the price of admission. So I bid on it. The guy said, absolutely. Oh, it's tentatively sold to somebody else. I said, look, if they don't show up, you let me know immediately, like immediately, because I'm gonna, wherever you are, I'm going to drive there. I would have drove out to Pickering for that, by the way, not for this, but for that. But it was like over here. So he said, guy didn't show up. I drove over there, and by far my biggest angel saying of any lot that I ever bought, even though the angels usually sing every time I buy a lot, so I'm I've always been happy about it, except for that one I just had a couple weeks ago. So the SEQ was just and it's still, to me to this day, is one of my favorite things that I ever got. That is part of this hobby, and the whole setup and the whole whatever, and the SEQ is absolutely fantastic. There was another lot that I got a couple years back. I was out in Smithville, and I knew exactly what I was getting. It was the old Train black 4.5 volt motors, and a couple black ones, and ones that were apart and whatever, and a couple of light bricks, the 2x2 light bricks that they used to have in the 4.5 volt era days, and a couple of the 1x4 and the 1x6 transparent blue, green, red of the taxi and whatever, and just a lot of miscellaneous pieces from the early to mid 70s, like lots of pieces, and he wasn't asking a lot for it. Extremely happy with that lot, right? Even though it's like basic pieces from the 60s and 70s. I did a whole video on it way back when I couldn't go dig it up. I'm very happy with that lot. So overall, I've had some ones, but then every once in a while, the angels sang, and very few times, wah, wah, so I've been very lucky in that. But again, today, I was lucky. Nobody else was asking for it yet. As soon as I saw it, I asked if it was still available. He said yes. I'm going to now look at these pieces, and I am probably going to wash them. And I am, okay, so some people might be thinking, hey, this is 46 minutes now. Right back into things. Some people have actually asked this. Am I going to do this like I did with the 854s, with the multicolors? I'm going to say, not necessarily definitively, but I am going to say right now, no. I am not going to make multiple iterations of this guy and change the red out for blue and black and white and yellow and probably tan. I was today, when I got this thing, before I got to that, I know it's going to go pick it up. I was trying to figure out what colors I could do, because I can't do all the colors like I could with the 854, because the 1x16 Technic beam is very rare, very rare in specific colors, and I'm probably thinking dark blue would be the hardest one for me to acquire. Probably whatever it is, Euro, whatever that other color is. Green, I might have, I don't know how many Technic 1x16 Technic beams are in here that are green, but I know I can do white, black for sure, blue, oh yeah. So tan might be, because I did acquire lots of those Pathfinders at deep discount, and they came with the tan beams. I could probably do this in tan without too much effort. Change the red to tan. I couldn't think of why I couldn't at this time. But the limiting factor for me to do all those things is yellow hinge, because I do not have any more yellow hinges. Also, I believe it's the, if I can find it easily, it might be in the bottom here. I didn't even check. Oh, it is here. That guy. See, I knew it'd be in here. I think I have the two that I built for the two that I've built now. I can go in there, and I can almost guarantee I do not have any of these 6x 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 6x16s in yellow. I have a billion of these things in blue, and a billion of these things in black, and a whole bunch in red, but I don't have these things in yellow. I don't know if they were specifically limited to this set, but 6x16s, not a lot. Tires, I do have a lot, actually. This is odd. I do have a lot of these tires. I have some in white too from the supercar, and that's the other thing that I wasn't going to talk about, but I was going to mention. The supercars I had up until 8448, I had all of them. I didn't buy this one, as I said, new off the shelf. But I do have, but all the subsequent supercars up until 8448, I have, and I bought them new. And then I just kind of gave up in Technic because they just started not making bad sets, which is kind of neat. Although it's 90s, even 90s Technic sucked, by the way. But I do have lots of those tires over there. Enough to make 6 more? Maybe not. I don't think I have 6 sets. I probably have 4 sets of tires over there, gray and white hubs. But I'm not going to bother. I don't want, I don't want to go off in a whole bunch of different venues for my hobby right now, because again, I don't have time to dedicate to really getting really into the intricacies of making this. Like the 854 display is done. It's in a box. I can just show up and drop it down. It takes 0 effort. I want to make the layout better. I do keep on saying I want to make the layout better. And it's because it has been static. Well, I can't say that because the last 2 shows I did, all the runs were copperized, which has never been done before for me. But I do want to expand it for the upcoming shows that we're doing this year. Basically, I want 3 versions of the layout. I want the tiny version that takes me 10 minutes to set up, which worked well at the Mississauga Comic-Con 2 years ago. I want the regular version for regular shows, like what I'm doing this weekend. That's quote unquote takes under 2 hours to set up. We'll find out, because I do have to fix it before I get out there. I'm going to try to get that done. But I also want the big layout, the expanded layout, which I haven't even started physically yet. I just have it mapped out in Track Designer, and not even fully fleshed out. I won't know until I get it actually built, which means I have to copperize a lot more monorail. A lot more monorail. But I do want to get that done for at least Bricks in the 6 this year, which I think is the only convention I'm going to this year. Unless Brickomania is in town later. But Bricks in the 6, I want the bigger layout for Bricks in the 6, because I want to display that at a bigger show, which means I have to work on it, and that takes time. And because again, I'm lighting up the entire thing, so it means all the base plates have to be lit. And I need to come up with some sort of building, because I was thinking, as you know, in my layout, which I wish I had a map around me right now, but I don't have one close to me. The layout has that one little corner, which is the ad hoc corner, which is there's nothing there except for vehicles. That's basically going to be quote unquote the rest, the expanded part of the layout, except I mentioned this, whenever I see a scene, and like in the A-Team movie and other scenes like Top Gun, you have all those F-14s parked, or all those F-18s, or whatever they are. They're all parked along the side of the runway, all kind of angled into the middle. I wanted to do that. I've always wanted to do that. And so when I designed this layout, which was a condensing of the big layout that I used to do at Brick Fats, which was 10 by 10, but with the corner cutout. I condensed it to here, but then with the idea that as soon as I get it down rote and able to set up in under 2 hours, then I would expand it. My criteria was in any given show that if it's under 2 hours, that's perfect. If it takes anything over 2 hours, then something's got to go to make it under 2 hours, because I'd rather be at a show than be setting up at a show. Now, when I did Brickomania and Bricks in the 6, it took a lot more time, but then I was puttering, first of all. I was busy talking. But second of all, the electrical is the exception to that rule of 2 hours. It takes me 2 hours to set up the layout, not the wiring. The wiring's on top of that. But then again, I don't have to do the wiring at a regular show, only at Bricks in the 6 or Brickomania when they have the lights out, because nobody's seeing the lights at a regular show because they got the big huge fluorescence coming down. I don't even worry about it. I just have to get the buildings in place and make the monorails move. That's it. which is under 2 hours. When I add the electrical, the wiring on top of it, then it gets stupid because I have to test as I go, but which takes a lot more time. So this expanded part is another 4 feet of layout on the edge, and basically the idea that I have tentatively is that I'm going to have at the back the monorails coming off and going down to the base plate layer and having a little loop over at the far corner, where it's going to be a training building or a nuclear plant. I don't know what's going to be over there, but it has to be a building, because you can't just have this whole 4x5 piece of nothing. But also where the monorail station is, my beautiful little building, my favorite building in the entire layout, you already have those 2 Galaxy Explorers parked there in front of it, because it's the station. That's where things come and go. So I'm going to have 3 more sets of landing pads coming out from there. So there's going to be 8 landing pads all together in a row, and there's going to be 8 Galaxy Explorers. That's the plan. 8 Galaxy Explorers all sitting there, all angled in, because I want that scene. It's in my head. I want to see it. So this is, again, I've never did this before. If you go to my Flickr channel and you look at some of the layouts that I did before we started videotaping everything, you will see that all the Galaxy Explorers, I tried to make all the Galaxy Explorers in every single layout pointing in the same direction, either in the 45-degree angle on the landing pad. Every single one of them you'll see distributed throughout the layout, no matter where the landing pad is, and if it's got a Galaxy Explorer, they're all pointing in the same direction. It's just nobody else has noticed this, by the way. But it's something I've always done. Even when Jeff and I were doing those ad hoc, 4 tables put together and just putting base plates out there in a monorail track. When I put a Galaxy Explorer down, it's pointing in the same direction as all the other Galaxy Explorers. It's just me being me. Anyway, so that's the tentative plan. I should have broken this up into 2 videos, because it's been a while since I made a video, but I'm not gonna bother. You guys got a 56-minute video now, so I'm gonna go to bed. Everybody out there, stay safe, take care. I still can't remember what I was going to talk about after that story. I'm sure it'll hit me at some point and I'll talk about it. So everybody stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon.